Alright, we've gotten the tank off the bike, which is a pretty simple procedure. You just got a bolt on either side of the clevis back here to be able to slide it forward, pull the bolt out. You can figure that out. If you can't figure that out, this job is well and truly beyond you, and you may want to look into having someone else do it for you. As the packaging says, if you're not comfortable doing this job, seek a professional. Because this job is dangerous. It involves fuel, it involves modifying a fuel system. It's just not a good beginner job. If you're more comfortable, you can drain your tank beforehand. I did not. Mine's still about half full of VP 110. We're going to go ahead and take all of the, I believe these were M5. Yeah, M5 Allen heads off. We're just going to toss all our parts and pieces down here in the diaper. Heat insulation, whatever you want to call it. I'm leaving it. It's not that much weight, so. Just seen a lot of people take them off. Yeah, I figured that gas could be a little sticky. So we'll go ahead and grab us a large, wide flatbed. I have a Sentinel. There it is. The shop is an absolute freaking mess right now because I let someone else use it to do a project, and never expect anyone to clean up after themselves. Just don't. You'll be disappointed. There we go. We're going to lift up on it. We got to work it out. That's the fun part. There we go. Be careful, you do have a sender on here. So you're going to tilt forward with the sender and fish it up and out too. There we go. We've got our factory fuel pump assembly out. It is disgusting. So that may lead to a lot of our running out of fuel issues. But for now, let's go ahead and get this torn down. Alright, so let's start pulling this apart. So for starters, get this small wire on this side. I've had these apart so many times. It's 15 ways to pull them apart. You can pull apart the same every time. One here. Leak some fuel out. One on the sender. Another one on the sender. Right here. Sender's free. Alright. Now the fun part. So I got it. This wire is going to one side of the pump, the other. Wow, that wire's shot. Crumbly nastiness everywhere. Maybe a 20-year-old pump, but all this wrapping is just crumbling off. Everything's crumbling off. It's not good. I really need to be able to get these off, and I don't have a freaking wrench that fits them. So I'm going to try pliers. Luckily, these aren't that tight. All right, and the coloring on these is as follows: black, brown, fuel pump power, blue. So, if you're curious and you tear yours apart and forget, there's your reference point. From left to right, looking at it as it'd be on there. The one that goes to the big ass yellow wire with the red leader, that's your fuel pump power. The middle one is brown or pink. It's filthy, I can't really tell. from the freaking fuel sender. This sucks. I think these are 7 or 6 mil. Probably 7 millimeter. They're teeny tiny, pains in my ass, and they're not 8 millimeter. After I spent 25 minutes trying to find my 8 millimeter in a pile of garbage on the floor, on top of a pile of all my tools and a lot of very expensive electrical connectors and such that were all used to put underglow on a bike that never got cleaned up after I was told they were going to be cleaned up. So next after this is cleaning the shop. Alright, so first out of the way, the sender is off. Fuel pump drive wire is free. That should be everything holding the fuel pump in. So now starts the fun of trying to walk the fuel pump up and off the housing. Yep, there's one tab and the other. Those go on here. There we go. Oh my God. We may not have been so much out of fuel pump as much as we were absolutely disgusting. There's our 3, I call them spider washers, star washers, whatever you want to call them for the electrical connections. Clean this up. That is filthy and disgusting and horrible, and I'm amazed we're getting fuel at all. Pop this little plastic piece off. Ta-da! Set that aside. Try and get our fuel pump to let go nicely. I really just want to get this sock off. That is nasty. And now the pump itself should be ready to just pull out of there. There it goes, slid out. There's the fuel pump itself. And I'm sure the internal filter on this is filthy too, so we're gonna clean that too. Regulator retainer. Pull a regulator. Oh, this thing's gurgling at me. All right, let's get this O-ring out of here quick. No, come back. Little roly-poly bastard. Come on, Mr. Regulator, stay. Be nice, come out. There it goes, pulling out, nice and easy. O-ring stayed with it. So that's my fuel pressure regulator. Inside of here, there's a micro filter that sucks. Got our fuel pump grommet. And I can hear this is full of freaking gas. And it is coming out nasty. So, This housing is plastic welded and non-serviceable. That's the fun part. So we're gonna slosh and swirl and slosh and swirl and try and get this as clean as we can. We're gonna clean this out the best we can, and we'll come back then for how we gotta fit this pump. All right guys, so first thing we're gonna run into this pump. Wow, let's just set up out here again, shall we? All right. So the first issue we're gonna run into here, guys, is this pump is just a slight bit taller. Slight bit taller than the original. We knew that was gonna happen. And I've already read on the forums new-ish what I needed to cut, but reading it doesn't explain it very well. So it slides in just fine. It lines up with the inlet just fine. But we're deflecting this plastic rib because it's a little bigger around, so we're gonna nip that off. And this little spout coming out of the fuel pressure regulator, we're gonna have to trim that up a bit. So let's get that knocked out quick and we'll be right back with the next step. Okay, and that's that. Real quick and simple, we took a nippers and snipped off that ear coming off the regulator retaining clip. And then I just buffed it out with a little bit of Scotch-Brite on a Dremel. And we nipped this down, this little spout sticking out the bottom of the regulator. Same thing, I deburred the inside with a deburring bit. Went ahead and polished the outside with a Dremel and cleaned everything out thoroughly. We're gonna go ahead and get this stuck back together. And we should have the pump installed in the housing. Lordy, that's close. All right, guys, and this is our pretty well completed assembly. We're waiting on a couple items. The sock that comes with this is far too large. We need an OEM one. Now the OEM one does fit perfectly. So, mine is history. If you can't tell by the dust coming out of it and the fact it's crumbling, mine's done. So I got a new one on the way. What we had to do for trimming, on the bottom of the pump here, there's little bumps kind of like this lip. I had to take these down flush in order to get this to latch down. This keeps the pump from blowing off of the assembly when it builds pressure. Fuel pressure regulator, as we mentioned, we cut flush. And we cut the ears off here. And I also made 2 small clearances for the wires, which are crisscrossing around in a heart shape. This wire is going to come over here. I've got to cut it and crimp on an eyelet, and it'll ground to the same location as the original wiring. These 2 wires are still the sender. They're going to come down to their original location. This is going to follow them down, and I'm going to have to crimp an eyelet on and bend it identical to these with a small piece of heat shrink, fuel stable heat shrink, key point there, and make the connection there. But in any case, this drops just in beautifully. This will go in the tank. It'll be a direct bolt-on assembly now. There's a little bit of cutting and nipping, but it isn't nearly as bad as what I was expecting. And we're going to still use the factory regulator. So we've still got an internal pump, internal regulated, and we should have more than enough here to go to 350, 400 horsepower on nitrous. We're not going to run out of pump. The reason I did this, at some point here, I'm going to cut out this block. Okay? We'll just use this surround clamping, and we'll build a stance off of it for the sender, and we'll run a line directly from here, looping into here. And then we'll use an external regulator, but with an internal pump, which will be a nice, neat setup. It should work out great. But that'll be when we go boost. Right now, we're not going boost, so this is what we got, guys. Ready to rock and roll. Just got to get that fuel strainer, and we'll cover the inline filter when we get this installed and make some tune adjustments. We'll do that in the next video. Thanks as always for watching the Ringer 57 YouTube channel, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content. I do apologize for not getting day 2 of the King of the Crown. We had some circumstances come up outside of my control. Junior is currently on crutches. Alex is helping him out. So we didn't get the footage we wanted to get. We got 2 clips. I haven't seen the clips yet. Don't know if they're any good. They're cell phone. I had the camera there, but it never came out of the bag, so it is what it is, guys. Hope you enjoyed this how-to video. If you got any questions about it, go ahead and ask them in the comments, and I'll answer every single one of them.